order. And welcome to this, the Science, Innovation and Technology Select Committee's Innovation Showcase. The committee wants to understand how the UK supports innovators and what more can be done. So each week, one member of the committee selects an innovator to share their story. And this week's innovator is brought by Tom Gordon.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm really glad that we've got Suffrago here today. I am sad that Andrew can't be with us, who's one of my constituents who I've known a number of years. It's probably just worth saying that in the Selby and Ainsty by-election a couple of years ago, he actually stood as an independent and called himself the AI-powered candidate. And that's kind of probably where this sort of thing sort of stemmed from. So Suffrago are a civic tech platform aimed at strengthening the voice of everyday citizens and helping MPs better understand public opinion. With social media often drowning out meaningful conversation and traditional polling falling short, Suffrago uses AI to try and cut through that noise. The platform gives MPs personalised constituency-specific dashboards, and it uses AI and an AI bot at the heart of their platform, which MPs can use to query data directly and get tailored insights to our constituencies. So thank you both very much for coming along today, and the floor's yours.
Thank you very much. I don't actually think we need to do anything now, Tom. Thank you. Thank you. Unfortunately, our CEO, which is a really good example, suffers from various health conditions, so was unable to make it down. That's one of the things we're actually looking to try and resolve. So essentially, we, unlike the next speakers you've got, we're not scientists. We're definitely not rocket scientists. Okay, so just to set the expectations. We call ourselves democracy innovators. Essentially, our core mission is to capture the real voice of people at scale, but not just the whats, it's also the whys. So what are people thinking, so that you as individual elected representatives of the constituents can see what those people are thinking and why they're thinking it, regardless actually of their political affiliation. So we are a politically neutral tech platform. We're removing the polarisation of vitriol, particularly from social media. We're using anonymity as a force for good. It's a moderated anonymity. And we're looking to give everybody a voice regardless of their political affiliation. Essentially, we're empowering individuals and their representatives and communities by blending cutting-edge tech, which is AI, and our own proprietary AI, blended into the timeless democratic principles.
And I think that one of the ways which we do that is to make sure that you don't have to have a PhD in statistics like myself to be able to understand a metric ton of data that's out there, right? So what we do is we use AI to help make it simpler, make it easy to understand, easy to digest. So more importantly, instead of focusing on the 238 million data points we have in our database, it's the 12 million insights that are actually really valuable and useful to be able to drive action and change. And what we do is we use that to mean that we can act quickly. Because as I'm sure you're all aware and all familiar with, things move quickly, times move quickly, and it's important that we're able to produce those insights in a way that means that they're still relevant by the time they need to be acted on. And that's why one of the first things we did was, as Tom so kindly mentioned, build those 650 constituency-specific dashboards. But it's not just 650, it's actually 3 times that, because we have it for income, property, crime, and there's more in our database that we haven't got, on dashboards quite yet. But it's about being able to give that information to, as Rachel said, not just be able to say, oh, this is what people are saying, but to provide context underneath it to say this is why they might be saying it.
And I guess part of why we're doing this is because we actually think the online conversation is broken, particularly around current social media. So it's polarised, and the population generally falls into 3 separate categories. And we call those the 3 Ps. There's the passionate, the passive, and the fed up, just from Hansard. And essentially, your inboxes, I take my hats off to you, your inboxes are filled primarily with individuals who are shouting the loudest and filled with vitriol. And the whole point is that also that then leads into polling, and traditional polling is also, it's failing because it's due to bias sampling. So we're looking to bring those people. So I'm very active on LinkedIn. I'm not active on any other social media, only in a passive reactive form, because frankly, that level of vitriol is not something I want to engage in on a daily basis. And we're looking to bring people like us who have an interest in our communities to actually engage beyond that, and so that you as their representatives become CEOs of your own constituency dashboard, regardless of whether somebody voted for you or not, with data at your own fingertips that purports directly to your own constituency on a range of different issues. And what we're doing is we're using anonymity, instead of it becoming a shield for dishonesty and trolling. We're using anonymity as a shield for good and a shield for honesty.
And how we are able to do that is, and Rachel mentioned, the traditional bias sampling and polling, where it's very difficult to get 1,500 people to reflect the mood of a national area, but we still claim that it does. What we're looking at is saying, okay, we know that we might only have this small group or this area there, but highlighting, again, as I was saying, the why they might be saying that and showing that's still valuable. And the real power in what Suffrago does is we're not a closed panel, we're not a closed ecosystem. If it's more biased in one direction, we encourage the other direction to come in and say, to have their viewpoints heard and their viewpoints said. And one of the key things that we do regarding anonymity is nobody on Suffrago will ever see how anyone's voted. That's private. Nobody else will see how Rachel commented or I commented. But we take what we view as a real responsibility for online safety very seriously. You are only anonymous on Suffrago for as long as you follow the law. If you break the law, if you act in an insightful way, if you are advocating violence, we will work with our Political Neutrality Council to then say, right, should we take action? And if we do need to take action, that information will then be passed on to relevant law enforcement. Because what we don't want to do is see a repeat of tragedies that have happened to the House, and we could have done something to stop that. So how we also then bring that in is we remove the emotion. We make sure that actually what's being said and the questions that we ask, which we crowdsource from our respondents, is reflecting the will of the people, reflecting the mood of the people. So if someone is saying something, if everyone's talking really positively about an issue, then the question on Suffrago will be positive. If it's negative, it will be negative. So we're making sure that we're reflecting what people are saying, not just what others believe they want to find out, but rather what's on the real mind of the people.
And I think we've been going only 9 months, so I'm not, but the business is very young. I'm clearly not very young. But we're already on our third iteration to make it even more intuitive, around making it more like a social media, but still with all that technology in the back. But we have also a series of what we call LDRs, local democracy reporters. There'll be one in every single constituency. So we already have, I think, in excess of 35, who again are tasked with that political neutrality. I think, though, it'd be really useful if you want to bring up some real-life examples, such as the Walthamstow transport, because this is about hyper-localisation.
Yeah, and the reports that we've generated have been used by national newspapers, global companies, charities and market research agencies. And the example Rachel was mentioning is my local MP was raising an issue regarding the accessibility of public transport inside of Walthamstow constituency. And we saw the post that was made and we thought, okay, how can we maybe support that? How can we maybe, provide context to it? So what we looked at and what we built was a report that looked at the impact of those who may be disabled or less abled inside of the constituency. And whilst Walthamstow has a actually relatively low proportion of disabled constituents, that kind of masks the data point, which is the amount of constituents who don't have access to a car who are disabled is 1.6 times higher than the rest of the UK. So in that constituency, there were 14,000 disabled residents who were going to be impacted by the lack of public transport, and we were able to bring that to the fore.
And another example, we work with MPs, we work with constituencies, we work with commercial organisations and NGOs, and one of us has just recently commissioned, and the report is still embargoed because they're working out how to use it as a charity. But in terms of the risk of death by suicide in every single constituency, that is not data that already exists. So we have gone through and using the AI and using we have in excess of 238 apparently million data points, 238 million, which actually the so what from that means that we have in excess of 20 million unique insights for these different constituencies. So all the 650 constituencies have been ranked in terms of the likelihood of death by suicide. The so what from that is that people can then start really actively campaigning and actively looking at where the mental health provision, for example, could actually kick in and from which age groups, which demographics, or that. So I guess really kind of the challenges and opportunities for us, you might have noticed we're based in the north, so we're registered in Harrogate, I live in Sheffield, Simon's from Sheffield. I am not young. I've been running tech businesses for about 20 years. There is not a particular affinity with investment into female-led businesses, and likewise Andrew is disabled, our CEO. So we have the investment challenge. We're looking for people to use as we are growing massively, and one of our challenges actually is we are almost inundated with some of your colleagues actually asking us to get involved with us at various levels, which is fantastic. And because we're politically neutral, obviously we we accept it. We're working with people across the political spectrum.
And I think the real big thing that we need and the big challenge we have is we need people to be willing to try. There is such a there's such a sometimes reluctance to get involved with politics with a big P, as we call it. So we're making sure that it's trying to drive causes to make people willing and wanting to engage.
So it's final way as well, just because of the anonymity, we're looking to ensure that everybody actually is a verified ID. And I recently had to go through GovID to verify my director status. That would be a brilliant way, actually, we could potentially help each other, because that's a really good system. But I think in summary, we're not looking to fix broken polling, because this actually could become a polling tool as well. We're looking to build something entirely new, which we're calling the ultimate democratic platform. So big ambition, why not? We already have people in India massively interested in this as well, because obviously their system's based on ours. We are about the true voice of the people, and we're looking to scale that, but scale it responsibly. Stop asking what we think people should care about, but actually ask what they are already saying and actively listening to them, which means then that people like you, and as I said, take my hat off to you, I would love to do your job, but I wouldn't. You all went in to make a difference, and what we think is we could actually help you deliver that change. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You do have a huge amount of ambition, but it's fantastic to hear about how AI is being used, if you like, positively to sort of to deliver on the promise of a better citizen engagement and with their elected representatives. So it's not an easy job, but thank you very much for presenting Suffrago to us and your journey, and thanks very much, Tom, for bringing them to us. And we'll look at our handouts with great interest.
Enjoy your dashboards, yes. Thank you very much.
Order.
Thank you.
Thank you.